Before the 2.0 Inazuma patch dropped for Genshin Impact, a few people had worries about if it would live up to the hype or not. And after 2 weeks of enjoying it at my own pace, yeah, it's just as fun as I had hoped it would be. In this video, I just want to kind of point out some stuff which I felt was executed particularly well, because sometimes when you enjoy something, it can be hard to pinpoint exactly why that is. This video won't contain story spoilers, by the way, so if you haven't done much in Inazuma yet, don't worry about it. Without further ado, here is the list. Starting with number 1, exploring Inazuma was really refreshing. It is definitely my personal favorite aspect of Genshin's gameplay, but MiHoYo could have easily dropped the ball with it. A majority of what makes it great, I think, is just the fact that everything feels so different from what we have already gotten used to. Right off the bat, the whole atmosphere sets itself apart from Mondstadt and Liyue. From the architecture and scenery with its use of different color schemes, to the way that NPCs aren't as friendly, everything feels new. The gameplay aspect of exploring is also just as captivating as I had hoped. Even if you only walk a short distance, you are bound to pass by a multitude of new enemies, hidden chests, and puzzles. While the puzzles aren't super complicated by any means, I did find myself enjoying interacting with the environments I was going through. And of course, none of the exploration would have been so good if it weren't for the amount of freedom we are given. I loved being able to do whatever I wanted without having to go through the story first. The non-linearity of it all and the absence of hand-holding really made the experience feel personal in a way. Although I'll admit there were a couple times where I was confused and googled how to get to certain places. Figuring stuff out on your own gives you a really great sense of accomplishment that you can't get elsewhere. At number 2, we have exploration incentives. While I enjoyed taking my time to find all the secrets within different areas, I can understand how if you don't find the act itself to be interesting, it can be pretty unappealing. In the Golden Apple Archipelago, for example, one thing I took issue with was the fact that exploring wasn't always a rewarding experience. After all the major stuff was found, all that was left to find was chests, which didn't have rewards good enough to make me excited to look for them. Inazuma fixes this problem with the way that sigils work. Like with the Anemo and Geo sigils, you obtain them from chests and from upgrading the Statue of the Seven. You will presumably be able to spend them at the souvenir store like normal sometime in the future, but for now their main purpose is to upgrade the sacred Sakura tree. Compared to the shops, these rewards are much more appealing. The fact that you can get 3 crowns of insight from it when they are normally tied to limited time events is pretty cool. Still though, I wouldn't even consider that my favorite part. The Electro Grana mechanic is fun and unique from the start, but the fact that you can upgrade it through the Sacred Sakura is pretty genius. This is a great incentive to explore and find as many chests as you can, since each one will be contributing to helping you out in combat and unlocking new secrets. At first I thought having barriers which I couldn't get through was just an annoyance, but in retrospect I think it's a neat idea to give players a reason to come back to places which they've already finished exploring. There are 50 levels, each requiring 25 sigils, meaning you need to find a grand total of 1,250. This is something that will definitely keep players busy for quite a bit. I also don't mind that Electroculus don't give max stamina this time, because at least you get more Primo Gems now. Number 3 is the side quests. This isn't necessarily something unique to Inazuma, but I never really thought much of it before. As I tried to speedrun some side quests so that I could unlock bounties before the weekly reset, I realized that they are actually fairly long but still worth paying attention to. Unlike how in some games the side quests are extremely forgettable because they only make you do one simple task, Genshin side quests are genuinely engaging. They have characters which have unique personalities that are interesting to explore, they meet a nice balance between narrative and gameplay, and they can feel like they actually have some stakes to them. Of course, some will inevitably end up being better than others, but I found myself heavily invested in a majority of the new ones. Sometimes it can be overwhelming to have all this new stuff in front of you to do, so having smaller stuff on the side can be a nice change of pace. On a similar note, I was surprised when I found out that Ayaka and Yoimiya's story quests had to be completed before starting Act 2 of the Inazuma Chapter Archon quest. Before, the only requirement aside from completing the previous chapters would be adventure rank, and story quests could just be completed whenever. I think it's okay to require them though, since it contextualizes the characters who are heavily involved in the story by fleshing them out. As always, I think it's great how they display the complexity of the characters by showing different aspects of their personalities. The fourth thing I really liked was the approach to the exposition of the world of Teyvat. Like I mentioned before, I'm not going to spoil anything since the blind experience is always the best. So without going into specifics about story events, I think they did a really good job of giving us enough information to keep us hooked without revealing too much. In particular, the details behind the visions which give our playable characters their powers has always been shrouded in mystery. While there is still so much we don't know, we quickly learn that taking away someone's vision also makes them lose their ambition and some of their memories. This can have some really interesting implications, especially when combined with some stuff we've already learned through the various vision stories. I am really excited to see how this plot point may come into play further down the line, and how the idea of visions will continue to be fleshed out in general. The world building was also top notch as always. I love talking to the various NPCs and learning about how they live. From what they celebrate to how their businesses are run, it was all super interesting. We even got some more hints about future regions, giving us a lot to look forward to in the coming years. As a final note, I really appreciated how rather than being its own isolated adventure, Inazuma feels like another step on our long journey. What I mean by this is that the references back to previous plot points makes everything feel natural and cohesive. I think this helps make the adventure feel a bit more immersive. The fifth is the only one I would say I was pleasantly surprised by, and that would be the new normal boss fights. While Genshin's combat will probably never be that complicated, I do think these new bosses did enough to mix it up a bit. The perpetual mechanical array enters its defensive mode where you have to single out a specific target, and the pyrohypostasis has a rage form of sorts until you break its pyro shield. The development team is always looking to make combat feel a bit unique with each experience, rather than just copy and pasting the same ideas. Even enemies of the same type, like the new Electro Abyss Mage, are made sure to be set apart from their counterparts. While exploring is really only completed once, combat is repeatable, so diversifying it is kind of important. These things also promote team and character diversity by making it so that you won't just beat every enemy in the game with a single team. Enemy styles and patterns are only going to get more interesting from here on out, and that combined with fun characters for us to play as makes me pretty excited for the future of Genshin combat. For the final sixth thing that I probably should have mentioned earlier is the music. It's culturally authentic, emotional, and just straight up sounds amazing. Honestly, there's not much else I can really say about it past that. So that about does it for my list, but I'm interested to know what you guys like or dislike about Inazuma. I tried to think of something that I hated, but I honestly couldn't think of any. In my opinion, MiHoYo really nailed it with this update, and I am super looking forward to how they will continue to ride this success. Personally, I am praying for more hangout events and outfits soon, but honestly, I'll be happy with whatever we end up getting. Well anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, thank you for watching.